Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds! So nerds!
Hello, nerds!
Now with this campaign, bang, dang, is and true. Come roll with the gang.
Hello, nerds! Nerds for Yang. I am actually traveling at the moment, but and I wasn't going to do any live streams because I'm traveling internationally and the time zone's all messed up. But I said, maybe just one quick spontaneous stream this week. So here I am. I wanted to go over kind of the state of the race, as well as update you guys on the Secure the Yang challenge, which is something that's been very exciting in terms of our efforts to get Andrew back on for a third interview. This time it would be with a panel of Yang Gang creators. So that's super exciting. We're getting very close. So I have an update for you all that. Patrick Hahn says he was engaging with Tim Black. You know what, guys? Like the whole Tim Black thing, Tim's Tim. Like he's gonna do his thing, and we know that we just like to use data and facts, and he can sort of say what he wants. But hopefully we can all join forces in the general election. And of course, I have an open invitation to Tim to come on the Nerds for Yang show and have a discussion. We don't have to talk about Medicare for all. We can talk about whatever topics he's interested in. And that would be kind of fun. Now, let's get on to the state of the race. So I want to share a bunch of data, and then we can take some questions, and then I'm going to head out. I'm actually got a little cold as well, so hold on. I got my box of tissues with me. Please hold on for one moment. This is an authentic YouTube channel when the host blows his nose on the air. But that's what we got to do. Okay, so let's first take a look at the polling and see how we're doing. Let's see. Boom. Boom. So how are we doing with the polling? National polling, I think The Economist poll that just came out last week has us at 4, which is higher than our average for the last 2 weeks nationally, higher than 2.8. So in some ways, we could be pretty excited about that 4. Obviously, personally, I'd love to see us in the 5 to 10 range more often, but that's where we're at nationally. Morning Consult and Monmouth had us at 3, and then The Hill really stuck it to us at 1. So the other thing that's interesting to note is you see Harris kind of sticking around 5. If you go down further, hold on, say all. If you go down further, I mean, she's been struggling really even worse before in the 1 to 5 range. And then if you go down far enough, you can see how she used to be, in the 10 plus range, this column here. But Harris is, as everybody knows, she's really struggling. She's fired a lot of her staff in New Hampshire to go all in on Iowa. I've heard that maybe Yang's going to make his stand in New Hampshire. Of course, we want to outperform in Iowa as well. But 4 is where we are nationally. Now let's look at our statewide support levels. So in Iowa, Iowa, we are at 3, which is really, really not where we want to be for, the very crucial first state in the primary. We are tied with Steyer, who has bought up TV ads like a maniac, tied with Harris. I mean, if Harris is pulling out all her people in New Hampshire and, making Iowa her key state, you gotta be a little sad if you're Harris. Wow, look at Klobuchar. Klobuchar, the moderate, is I gotta be impressed. I was kind of thinking Klobuchar would have been drifting the way of Beto, but she's respect to her for being so gritty and persisting. And then Gabbard. You see, Gabbard is another one that we thought, I think, if we looked at the data, back in June, this summer, she was at 0s and 1s, and now she's at 3, tied with us, even though we've raised way more money. So, respect to Gabbard. I think Gabbard obviously benefited in an odd way from being attacked by Hillary. Hillary, if you want to attack Yang, go for it. And Warren, if you want to attack Yang on automation, we'd love to hear from you. And then Bloomberg is at 2. So we're actually polling ahead of Bloomberg, which is pretty impressive given that Bloomberg is a nationally known figure, very well respected in many circles. But we can't keep putting lipstick on a pig here. We need to be more than 3 in Iowa, guys. At this rate, based on this poll, we would be in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th, 6th, tied for 6th place. And honestly, I would love us to see us come in top 5 in Iowa, which would mean we would need to get ahead of Steyer, Harris, and Kloby. Kloby, nobody really was thinking Kloby. I mean, look at this. Back in October 13th, we were 5 and Kloby was 1. So what a difference 1 month can make. So we have time. As a reminder, the Iowa caucus, let's see, days till Iowa caucus. 77 days. So we have 77 days to make some inroads and pass Steyer, Harris, Kloby. And if we finish 5th right after Sanders, I think that would be pretty surprising. Maybe finally the media would cover it. But let's look at New Hampshire. New Hampshire, getting it in the shorts. New Hampshire, we're at 1 according to CBS YouGov. If you believe Quinnipiac a few days before, we're at 4. And if you believe CNN at the end of October, we were at 5. So, but let's not sort of cherry pick. CBS YouGov is the latest poll. If you believe that one, then you've got Gabbard at 0. Wow, look at that difference. Quinnipiac had Gabbard at 6. CBS has her at 0. So that kind of goes to show you how these polls are very noisy. Wow, yeah, look, Warren at 31 according to CBS and 16 according to Quinnipiac. Let me kind of look at some other polls. If you look at other polls, you see Quinnipiac and CNN kind of agree that Warren is in the teens. But CBS has her at 30. Wow. Either she surged or CBS is kind of way off. But that's where we are. So based on this, we would come in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We would come in 6th, 7th place in New Hampshire, according to CBS News YouGov. If you believe Quinnipiac, we would come in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, Gabbard would be ahead of us if you believe Quinnipiac. So we got a lot of work to do, folks, which is why when it comes to giving money, we have got to just do some air power in Iowa and New Hampshire in terms of on the ground office setup, canvassing, radio, TV, air, land, and sea. Now let's look at South Carolina. Oh my God, CBS is just giving us no love. 0 in South Carolina. Monmouth has us at 2. Post and Courier has us at 4. If you believe Post and Courier, we'd end up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th place. And then let's look at Nevada. A little better in Nevada. They have us at 3. Fox News would mean we would end up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th place. Steyer is at 5% in Nevada. So if anybody's wondering, does giving money to Yang help? Look at what Steyer has done. Nobody knows who Steyer is. Nobody's fired up about him, but that mofo has spent millions of dollars on ads, and now he is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th place, ahead of Harris and Yang and Klobuchar and Booker and Castro in the early state of Nevada. And since we're here, let's look at California, since that's coming up soon after. In California, we are at 3% according to NPR. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th place. I kind of feel like California, we may have a surprise, but that's kind of where we are, folks, according to the polls. I should have not stopped screen sharing because I'm about to. Oh my God. There's, we're just all dedicated. Whether we're sick or traveling, we will continue working for the Yang Gang because the next few months, it's now or never, folks. Okay, so that's the polling stuff. Now, RFK 2020, not a fan of Steyer. I feel you. Okay, now we've done the polls. Let us now go to, I wanted to go to debate qualification because I don't know if people appreciate how crucial the next, not just even few months, the next like 1 month is. So look at this. Here is the December debate qualification. On December 12th, the door closes. And right now it's November 18th. So we have less than a month to qualify for the December debate. And in order to qualify, you need 2 polls at 6% in the early states, or you need 4 at 4% nationally. Now, what does that mean? That means that we have 2 where we've had 4% or higher in national polls. But it also means that we need 4. And we have 2 of them. Now, as you know from the last our just recent review of national polling, we're not getting no 4% in any recent national polls, except for that Economist YouGov one, which came out on November 12th, where we got exactly 4%. So I think that probably explains why we have now 2 out of the 4 instead of 1 out of the 4 prior to that. Now, if you look, Amy Klobuchar has already qualified, and Tulsi only needs to get 1 more, and even Steyer needs to get 1 more, and he might be on the stage. So that would mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people on the stage. If we got in, we'd be number 9. Look at Cory Booker. My God, he's at risk of getting not on the stage at all. And we need 2 more polls in the next 3 or 4 weeks. And then Castro doesn't look like he's going to get on the stage. All these other folks will not. So that is why we need to be working extra hard. That means talking to your friends, doing stuff on Twitter, on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, donating to the campaign. This is all crucial for the debate stuff. Now, I want to also show you some maybe more encouraging news, because I know the polls, gosh, let's hope the polls are really undercounting dramatically, or we start showing way more action in the polls. But if you want to look at a different kind of poll, which is like how people are searching on the web and what information people are looking for, here is web searches for Yang versus Buttigieg versus Harris and Booker and Warren. And as you can see, in the last 30 days, we are the blue line. So we're actually number 3 in terms of which candidates people are searching for between Yang, Buttigieg, Harris, Booker, and Warren. As you can see here, we are actually number 2 in terms of November 15th. But if you look at the last 30 days, Warren is number 1, Buttigieg is number 2, and we'd be number 3. So we would be very close to Buttigieg in searches, whereas obviously we're not close to him in polls. So I guess one question that people have is like, well, then why are so many people searching for Andrew Yang, but he's not showing up in the polls? There's only a few explanations. Like, one is that the polls are just wrong. The second one is I think the demographics are very different. The people who are searching for a candidate's name on Google may not be representative of the people that are getting called into polls, and in fairness, may not be fully representative of the people that are going to show up at the Iowa caucuses, because essentially there's probably a lot of older people who aren't Googling all the time who are going to caucus. And that's why you're going to see them coming out, and that's why all the young people out there in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, like, you have to show up, because you got to know there's some older folks who are not as up to speed on who Andrew Yang is, that are going to just by default go for Biden or Warren because they hear about them on the national news a lot. And we need to offset that. Now, if you look at the national searches, you see we are particularly strong in this group in California and Utah, interestingly enough. Unfortunately, where we really want to be strong is in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. In New Hampshire, we're actually, looks like we are number 3, which is not bad. So maybe we will have an upset in New Hampshire. And then if you want to look at what people are searching for, they're searching for the Newsweek article. So that's great. Thank you, Newsweek. By the way, we should totally give a Yang Media shout out to the Newsweek author. And why don't we just do that right now before we forget, and we'll do it together. Hold on. Share screen. Let's just share my entire share. Okay. We're going to go to Twitter. First of all, we got to find out. This is what I would recommend everybody do to help with media coverage. If you go Yang Newsweek. Hold on. And you say, okay, here's probably, is this the article people are talking about? Probably this one. Oh, it's by Newsweek staff. Oh, then we can't really thank anyone in particular. That's fine. Christopher Lane. Who's Christopher Lane? Maybe he's the author, or is he the guy who did the photo? Now, the reason why I'm doing this is we need to figure out who to thank. Ah, he might be the one that wrote the article. I don't know if I want to thank him, though. Who knows? All right, let's just, because the Newsweek article didn't list the exact name of the author. Well, look at this. Well, let's just mention him. Oh, it's probably the photo. Whatever. Okay. So what we'll do is we're going to say, we can go to this one. We're going to link to it. And actually, we can just tweet it out. Okay, so we want to say at Newsweek. Oh, come on. Oh, it's because it's using that silly share thing. I'm going to just copy that. I'm going to go back to Twitter. And I'm going to say at Newsweek. Just want to give a warm Yang Media shout out to for the thoughtful inclusion of at Andrew Yang here. So now what we're trying to do is we're trying to give positive reinforcement to the news media when they do a story about Yang. All right. So let me get back to what we were originally talking about. And I apologize. Someone is vacuuming right outside the door. Oh God, you gotta love the internet. Okay, here we go. We were looking at the searches. Okay. So that's what they're searching for. They're searching for the Newsweek article most of all. What are they searching for Buttigieg about him talking about Zuckerberg? Harris, they're talking about her school policy. Booker, they're talking about something with him and Meghan McCain. And then Warren, they're talking about her healthcare plan. So that's what people are searching for. Now, if you wanted to say, well, what about at the in Iowa? What about Iowa web searches? So if you look at Iowa web searches, you'd see we are still number 3 behind. Wow, look at this. Buttigieg is beating Warren. I am now starting to believe this argument that Buttigieg might actually be the surprise winner of Iowa. Well, let's see. If we remove Booker and we add Biden, could Buttigieg be getting more action? Yeah, he's getting more action than Biden even. Wow. What if we removed Harris because she's really struggling? We add Bernie. Is Buttigieg still king of web search? Oh shoot, he is. Wow, Bernie's number 2 in web searches, but Buttigieg is still numero uno. Freaking Buttigieg. But look at this. Here's Andrew Yang is about a third of Buttigieg in terms of searches, but he's not a third of Buttigieg in terms of polling data. So that's where you're seeing that the web searches are showing a much closer race than the polls are. Where is Andrew getting the most interest? Des Moines, Ames area. God bless you all in Des Moines, Ames. Where is he getting the weakest coverage? Not so much in the Omaha, Nebraska area, I guess. Let's see. What else is there? Oh, and then what are people searching for in Iowa? Just Yang 2020, looking for his website. That's a good sign. for Buttigieg, they're just searching for his name. Warren, yeah, in Iowa, there's probably not enough searches other than Bernie Sanders. They're searching for his age, which shows you something that that might be a concern of theirs. What about New Hampshire? New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, we are, wow, look how close this is. Look how close this is. We are last, but it's last out of these top contenders. You notice I didn't include Castro or Harris. I'm just excluding them. I'm really focusing on, quote unquote, the top tier. But if you look, like these are the top tier, right? What the media would tell you, except for Yang. They would not tell you anything about him. But look at here, like these lines don't show you that this blue guy is that different than from these other bars. But you see here, wow, Buttigieg is very strong in New Hampshire as well. My goodness. And then where is Yang the strongest? In the Burlington, Vermont, Plattsburgh, New Hampshire area. What are they searching for? Just searching for Andrew Yang, his name. Mayor Pete, his name. Warren, her name. Biden name. Bernie name. So not a whole lot in terms of search queries and specifically, but in terms of volume, this is a very tight race, folks. This is just tells such a very different story than the polls, because the polls always look like we're, distant, sixth or seventh. But out of 24, and now you look at it and it looks like we're fifth out of 24 and not that distant. I mean, that blue line is not that far off. And let's look at YouTube searches. So you could argue YouTube, now we're going to get even more demographically younger. But you could argue if you're searching for someone on YouTube, you may be much more in an information gathering mode. And there we are number one in national YouTube interest in the past 30 days. There was a brief moment where Warren was getting a lot on November 3rd, but lately where the blue is leading the way, right? And in terms of where is the YouTube activity coming from, there's Iowa. Ooh, number one for YouTube searches in Iowa, Yang is. And where the heck is Pete? Oh, Pete's number two, but kind of a distant number two. Where does Yang get a lot of YouTube action? Oregon, nationally. My goodness. Folks in Oregon. Maybe it's our buddies. Who were we talking to the other day? The Lesbians for Yang are in Portland. Maybe they're helping canvas, get some people interested. Where is Yang also strong? Ooh, Vermont. That's interesting. Who would have thought that he's got so much interest in Vermont? And in New Hampshire, also strong. Now, what are people searching for on YouTube for Warren? The Saturday Night Live skit, Joe Biden lynching. Not sure what he's doing there, talking about that. Bernie Sanders rallies. And then for Yang, Joe Rogan. Gotta love Mr. Rogan. Okay, so that is the national YouTube. We go to Iowa YouTube. Ooh, not number one in Iowa. In the last 30 days, you've got Bernie, then Buttigieg, and then us. Whoa, who's this green one? Not a lot of YouTube love for Biden in Iowa. And then if you look at New Hampshire, New Hampshire is very close, but we are numero uno with Warren second for YouTube. Let's look at South Carolina. Ooh, Biden. What? That's the only state where Biden's number one for YouTube. Then Bernie. We're kind of weak in South Carolina on YouTube, guys. If you want to know where are we strongest, we're strongest in this Greenville, Spartanburg, Asheville, Anderson area. But where is Biden strongest? He's strongest in Charlotte area. And then you got Bernie doing well on this Charleston and Myrtle Beach kind of metro areas. That's a concern. We should be doing way better in South Carolina on YouTube. YouTube's kind of our stronghold. So you would hope that we do better there. What about Nevada? Come on, blue line. Show me the blue. Ooh, Warren. Oh, no, Sanders. Then Biden. And then Warren. And then us. Who's 0? Buttigieg is not getting any action in Nevada. That's interesting. So that is the summary of the YouTube stuff. Now let's go to social media, like Twitter. 1 second. Where is that one? There we go. Share. Social media, if you compare us to Andrew Yang, to Buttigieg and Warren, let me make that bigger for you. So we're the red line. Now what you see here is a very nice closing of the gap. However, we're still behind. I mean, look at the blue guy, Buttigieg. We're pretty much parallel to Buttigieg now, adding as many as he's adding every day. And you could say the slope of Warren's line is also kind of similar, maybe slightly higher. And then if you look at daily additions, like November 17th, yesterday, we added more, 3 times as much as Buttigieg and Warren. Then on the 16th, we added, more than Buttigieg and Warren as well. And then on the 15th, we added more than Buttigieg, a little bit less than Warren. And on the 14th, we added less than all 3. And then on the 13th, less than all 3, but similar. So it looks like the last few days we've had a nice boost on Twitter. And if you project out where we will be, based on the daily ads, we're kind of on track to meeting Buttigieg, but Warren is still growing on Twitter very strongly. So that's the Twitter race. Let me see what else I got for you. Oh, we got to talk about betting odds, right? So let's look at betting odds. 1 moment. And if I can't get this to load, I'm going to go to an alternate site. Share. Come on, load. If it doesn't load, I got another one. Say we'll go to electionbettingodds.com instead. Okay. So if we look at the last 7 days, wow, Warren's kind of taken a hit here, down 8.7% in the betting odds. Biden up a little bit, Buttigieg up nicely, Sanders up a little bit, Clinton, Bloomberg. Oh, we're now a little bit less likely than Bloomberg, according to the gamblers, as to who would get the nomination. Klobuchar's beneath us, Gabbard's beneath us. Harris is 3 times less likely to be the nominee than Yang. Who would have thought, huh? And Booker is 5 times less likely. Who else is there? Castro is like 30 times or something. But that's who we're ahead of. But who's ahead of us? Like, we got to acknowledge that Warren, that's interesting that Warren's kind of going down a little bit. Let's look at the chart. And if we see here, wow, look at Sanders. I mean, Warren at one point in early October was more likely than a coin flip. 52% chance of getting the nomination, and she has just been on a downward slide, and now she's all the way down to 24%. Now, in fairness, Yang is this sort of, I don't know what color this is. Is this magenta? And he's kind of flat at this 3% range. What's also interesting is this purple. Buttigieg is moving up. Wow. Buttigieg is at 18%. Remember, he had this peak of around 12, 13, 14%. And then he had a slide, but now he's coming back. What's really encouraging is that this race is very volatile. If you see, this is like the equivalent of watching an NFL game, like let's say the Seahawks versus the 49ers, when the lead kept switching back and forth. So if you're like Yang, you're like, okay, well, anything can happen. I mean, look at what happened with this purple. With Buttigieg, at one point, Buttigieg was all the way down to, oh, come on. Where are you, Buttigieg? Like 5%, maybe even lower, 4.7. And now he's at 18. And that was in what period of time? From September till November. So in like a little over a month, he went from 5 to 18. So in a little over a month, is it possible that we go from 3 to 15, 18? Maybe, but we need some kind of some stimulus for that to happen. I don't think it's just going to happen naturally. Hopefully the debate will be the big turning point. I would love to see Yang kind of take the gloves off and really draw some stronger contrast with Warren, especially on automation, or on Buttigieg with specifics, or on Biden with who has a future forward plan, or on Sanders with the practicality of winning the general election when you're campaigning to eliminate all private insurance. Like, these are things that I think it's time for Yang to be a little bit more forceful in terms of how he debates these guys. So let's hope, fingers crossed, that the debate could be the big turning point. Next thing I want to share with you all, now that we've done the betting odds, is the media coverage. All right. So let's look at not just the Yang Media blackout kind of anecdotal examples, but here's the actual number of times each candidate is mentioned. Here it is on the ABC, CBS, NBC Evening News. And I'm going to zoom in here. Hold on. And if you see here, on November 16th, you got Harris, Biden, and Sanders getting multiple mentions. Yang, none. November 15th, wow, look at this. Freaking Castro got 8 mentions. Biden 5, Warren 1. Did CBS, ABC, NBC Evening News cover Yang? No. November 14th, Biden 12 times, Warren 1. Yang? No. 13th, Biden 15 times, Warren twice. Yang? No. Okay, so you get the picture. We're getting no coverage, no love from ABC, CBS, NBC Evening News. Now, the reason why this is not just like complaining, but when these other candidates get all this free coverage, it affects the polls, which then affects donors. So it's kind of this vicious cycle. Now, if you look at, let's say, what's this next one? Online news. I think we do a little better. So here, I'm going to zoom in for the online news. You got on November 17th, you have, oh, come on, cursor. Stop moving around. There we go. Biden, 3,000 mentions. Warren, 1,000. Sanders, 876. Buttigieg, 773. Harris, who is like barely keeping a heartbeat on that campaign, 510. Bennett 378, Klobuchar 338, Booker 300, Yang 200. Now look at that. Booker. The gamblers don't think he has a chance. He's behind Yang in the polls, and yet he gets 100 additional mentions on November 17th in online news. Now, if you go on November 16th, where's Booker? 291, Yang 205. And then, of course, Warren and Sanders get almost 1,000 each between the two of them. Buttigieg 500, Harris 500, Klobuchar 349. So that's online news. We're even though online news tends to give us a little bit more action, not enough. And then if you look at cable news like CNN, NBC, Fox, let's look at that. Let's see here. November 16th for CNN, MSNBC, Fox cable news. Biden 264, Warren 86. Where's Yang? One time. Freaking Beto got mentioned 3 times on November 16th, and he's no longer in the race. Castro 6 times. He's way behind Yang, and Yang gets 1 mention. Booker 8 times. Like, what is the deal with covering Booker, guys? 8 times more than Yang, even though he's behind Yang in money, behind Yang in polls, behind Yang in crowds. Freaking media. Unbelievable. What about November 15th? You got Yang mentioned twice, Booker 8 times, Castro 10 times. Just, freaking media. Okay, so now, you know now that the Yang media blackout is not just us finding random examples, but it's actually a systematic suppression of this candidate. And when most voters get their information from TV and cable, and TV and cable journalists are not covering Andrew Yang and are disproportionately giving free coverage to Booker, to Harris, to Castro, to freaking Beto, who's not even in the race anymore, that's not a fair democracy. That's not equal access. That's just bullshit. Now, to even bring this level of freaking ridiculousness to another level, let's look at some of the specific like exclusion, not just mentions now, but actually specific things. So we're going to go to Twitter because my boy Scott Santens is always calling BS. So we'll go to Yang media blackout. Okay. So check this out. Old Scott Santens is watching like a hawk. He's like the freaking early alert system. Now, this is our buddies at MSNBC reporting polling data for the Iowa caucus, right? Des Moines Register. Now, you look, they're including people at 1% like Michael Bennett, Bloomberg at 2%. You notice where the F is Andrew Yang? Is it because he's polling at 0%? Well, I don't think so, because we can actually check that. Let's see here. Let me go back to our polling data. And I'm just going to share the entire screen, make it easier. So they were talking about an Iowa Des Moines Register poll. Okay. So let's look at the Des Moines Register poll. Maybe Yang was at 0. That's why they didn't include him, right? Let's see here. Let's go to the actual data. And this is really the raw data. Come on. Let's go back to the summary. It'll be easier. This is the Des Moines. Come on. Focus. Here we go. Des Moines Register, right? See that? November 8th to November 13th. Oh, look. Yang is at 3%. Same as Steyer, same as Harris, same as Gabbard and Booker. Yang, 3% right here, right? See that? Now, let's go to that MSNBC visual. We saw that according to here, the actual poll, Yang's at 3. Now we go here. Let's look at the 3% people. Where is the Asian man? Oh, they didn't have enough space? Maybe they didn't have no. Oh, no. They have a freaking block right here. They could have just pushed Bloomberg and Bennett down one and put Andrew MFYANG. Thank you, MSNBC. You piece of work. Ridiculous. So that's one example of the blackout. Let's look at another. A lot of people talking about that, that MSNBC one. There was another one. Let's see. This is another one on November 11th. Cable coverage of candidates. Share a 15-second cable news clips mentioning each candidate. Oh, wow. So this is like celebrating the Yang Media blackout, right? They are basically calling out how they're not covering Yang. So hilarious. This is a meta point. And then the last one I'll highlight for everybody. Oh, look at this. Fox News. Oh, Fox included us, but MSNBC did not, which is funny. I think, wow, there was a lot of activity about this MSNBC one. Well, if I look at my own stuff, there was also an article that I shared out on New York Times where they did a story about candidates breaking barriers. And what they forgot to include, come on, man. I've been tweeting so much. Where the hell is it? Give me a second, folks. This is the reality of live streaming. Where in the hell is it? Let's see if I can do a quick search. New York Times candidates breaking barriers. Ah, look at that. Thank you, search. So here's a New York Times article about how voters are reacting to barrier-breaking candidates. And they go on to talk about which candidates are breaking barriers. So to say Julian Castro, Latino candidate. Whole thing about Julian Castro. Then they talk about how I don't think Biden is a barrier-breaking candidate, but they're saying how he's actually doing better with minority voters than a lot of the minority candidates. And then they talk about Harris, African-American candidate, breaking barriers. There she is. I don't know if America is ready for a woman of color with an immigrant background. Okay. So who else are they talking about? Castro again. Buttigieg, barrier-breaking candidate. Is there another candidate that is making any barrier-breaking efforts? That's the end of the article, folks. So you write a whole article about candidates breaking through barriers, like the first Black female candidate, a Latino candidate, Buttigieg, a gay candidate. Where is the Asian American candidate who's actually polling ahead of Castro and in many cases ahead of Harris? Nothing. Zero. So this is why, folks, if the media keeps excluding Yang, they're putting their thumb on the scale, and we are not going to be given a fair shot. And the only way to overcome this is to provide the campaign with some serious moolah so that we can buy airtime, because they're not giving it to us free like they are for Castro and Harris, and then shake the crap out of the system and surprise everybody in Iowa and New Hampshire. And then, well, you would hope if we have a 5th place finish in Iowa, a 4th place finish in New Hampshire, a 3rd place finish in South Carolina, then these freaking journalists would start waking up and put down your Booker pen and pick up your Yang Gang pen. Unbelievable. Speaking of fundraising, I should share with you what's going on with the latest Secure the Yang challenge. So let's do that. So as you guys, many of you know, we had this channel, we've done 2 interviews with Yang. First one was to raise 10K. Got it. Got him on the show. Second challenge was to raise 20K. Raised it. Got him on the show. So thank you to everybody who donated to those previous Secure the Yang challenges. Now the new Secure the Yang challenge is to raise 50K, and this is a team-based challenge. And in this one, we've got 12 creator Yang Gang creators, mostly YouTubers, that are trying to help us raise money, and we're trying to collectively raise 50K. And we started that about 2 weeks ago. And let me show you the current results. All right. So look at this. You've got a total raise of 45K in 2 weeks. So everybody who gave to the campaign, if you use the Secure the Yang special Act Blue links that are available on the details page of the Secure the Yang videos, and I've also posted it in multiple posts on Twitter, then you get counted, and the campaign gets all the money, but we just count how much we quote unquote helped raise. And you've got Paget, who is just making it rain with 19K, and then the Nerds for Yang Nation at 12K, Kai Watson, very strong, 7K, Hustle and Film 3K, Mindwave 1K. And what we're going to do is the top 2 will do an interview of Andrew with, and then a third one who will be randomly selected from anybody who raised more than $500. So right now, if the competition were ending today, it would be Paget and me plus one of either Kai, Hustle and Film, or Mindwave. That'll be randomly selected. But Read My Lips is just $26 away from being eligible for that third spot. And so that means overall, whoops, stopped sharing. Hold on. That means overall, we are so close to getting Andrew Yang back on for a Yang Gang interview. And this one would be unique because this would be a panel interview. So it's not just me one-on-one with Andrew, but it could be like Paget or Kai or, Hustle and Film or Ronnie from Read My Lips, someone, it's going to be about a total of 3 of us plus Yang. So we're 91% of the way there. If you want to donate and you want to use my link, which I would appreciate because I'm also in this competition. So if I fall out of the top 2, then I won't be able to ask him any questions. I'll just host the interview and, connect all the live streams together. But obviously, I would love to be part of the interview as well. So if you want to help me out, please donate to the campaign using the following link. Where is it? There it is. tinyurl.com/NFY50. I'll make that easier. tinyurl.com/NFY50. And that's how you can donate to Andrew Yang. you can help him overcome this media suppression, some bullshit, and also help me get him back on the show and interview him again. Okie dokie. So it's been almost an hour. I think these are all the questions I had. And I just wanted to see if you guys had any questions for me. So these are all the topics I had. But if you have any questions for me, go ahead and put it in the chat and I'll try and answer them as much as I can. All right, here we go. Here's the first one. How will you choose the random person? So the person will need to raise $500 or more. And then if they do, we will basically probably assign a number to each one. And then I will do a live stream and I'll use a random number generator. And then we'll see, whose number gets called. And so again, the top two will interview him based on dollars. And then anyone with $500 or more gets entered into the drawing to be the third interviewer. Okay, next question. Quap 13. I prefer Hustle and Film. Well, one way to help Hustle and Film, you give him $26, you can get him eligible to be one of those for that drawing for the third interviewer. And there's only like 3 or 4 people who are currently eligible for that third spot. So he would have a 1 in 4 chance. Okay, Arika. What are your thoughts on the debate? Oh my God. My thoughts are this debate is crucial. Because why? Well, number one, because we saw the polling numbers and we need to move those freaking numbers. Number two, I think that if I were Andrew or on his team and not just sort of volunteering like this, I would say, bro, you need to take the gloves off, man. It's no more Mr. Nice Guy. I'm not saying you should come off like a jerk, like maybe Mayor Pete did last debate. I'm not saying you should come off condescending because you're not, but you have to draw contrasts and you have to let the voters know why you would be better than all these other people on stage, because that's the question they're asking themselves. They're not asking, oh, does Andrew make good points or is this Andrew guy interesting? Yeah, fine. That's great, but we need them to come out in the caucus for us in Iowa and New Hampshire in the primaries and South Carolina. And the only way we're going to do that is if people who currently are supporting Biden or Warren or Pete or Harris or undecided say, no, this is my new number one choice. And the way to be the number one choice is you say, Vice President Biden, I believe we are facing incredible challenges, including the fourth industrial revolution. And frankly, going back to the days of the Obama-Biden administration and just turning the clock back is not good enough. It would be progress over Trump, but we need to do more than just un-Trump ourselves. We actually need to move forward as a country. And then if I were talking to Warren, I would say, Senator Warren, your Medicare plan is, I would save my Medicare debate with Bernie. So that for Warren, I would say, Senator Warren, the last debate, you said automation wasn't a problem, that you didn't look at the data before you said it wasn't a problem. Number one, why didn't you look at the data before you made these statements that automation is not a problem? And number two, now that you have looked at the data, do you agree with me that this is one of the largest challenges facing this country and facing working class people? And do you agree with me that a universal basic income is one of the best ways we have to help affected workers manage this difficult transition? And for Bernie, I would say, Senator Sanders, are you sure that you will win a general election if given the nomination by promising 150 million Americans that they will lose their private insurance? Right. And then for Buttigieg, how would you want to go after Buttigieg? I would say Mayor Buttigieg. I kind of like Mayor Pete, so I feel a little hard to go against him strong. But I'd probably say, hey, Mayor Buttigieg, you're clearly a very smart, articulate candidate. I also feel like life experience leading complex organizations is also important. Having been a former CEO, a founder of a national nonprofit, a father, and an immigrant, I bring a lot of experiences. I know you do as well. But based on your life experience, why do you think, oh, no, I wouldn't give him an open-ender. I would probably say, what is it about being the mayor of South Bend that has prepared you to be president? And do you think, don't you think that you need to have a stronger track record before going for the Oval Office? Now, of course, you open the door for Mayor Pete saying, well, what's your background? But I think Yang's entrepreneurial background as a CEO, as a founder of a nonprofit, working with the Obama administration, and being a leader on these important issues would stand him up well. But, now that I say it, let's not pick a fight with Mayor Pete. I think he doesn't have as many exposed kind of weak areas as Biden, Warren, and Bernie. And frankly, those first three have more points to give us. Okay, next question. Whoops. I am having difficulty scrolling. I think I took a little too much Dayquil. Oh, God. Oh, Shauna is saying donate for Tom. Yes, please donate to, just so if you didn't have it, tinyurl.com/NFY50, Nerds for Yang 50K. Okay, that's what we're trying to shoot for. Okay, next question. How realistic is Andrew Yang going to make it for the December debate? Well, he has till December 12th to get another 2 polls at 4% or higher. We have obviously this November debate coming up this Wednesday. So if he has a good performance there, you could argue going from 3 to 4%, he's typically coming in at 3 in a lot of cases. Doesn't seem a huge stretch. Plus, hopefully over time, the new media campaign with the new Yang television ads will start burning in. So it's realistic. I would say it's probable, but it's not guaranteed, which is why we need to double down. If you were on a plane and someone said, well, it's realistic and probable that you'll land, you would be like, well, shit, then we need to do more to make it more confident. So I think we'll do it, but we all need to dig in. We all need to give money. We all need to talk to more friends. We all need to promote. Oh, don't forget to like this live stream so this content gets spread around more, and hopefully we scoop up a couple of Bernie or Biden supporters. So that's that. Jamie, should Andrew go hard? Yes, he should go hard. It might be I agree. I'd rather him go too hard, and for people to say, whoa, he's pretty aggressive, because I've heard the opposite from other people who are kind of open to Yang, and they're like, yeah, I've seen him. He seems nice. He's a nice guy. He seems smart. He has some interesting ideas. But what they don't say is he doesn't have that commander-in-chief president vibe. And now he has to find a fine balance. He doesn't want to come across like a jerk or like a bully, but lead, man. And that means it's time to start drawing contrast, because there is a chance this could be the last debate. If it's the last debate, if we don't make the December debate, it's not lethal, but it's a major wound. Let's see. Do I think he has a fighting chance with the new ads he's come out with? I think he has a fighting chance. I feel like most people would tell you that television ads require a lot of repetition. So it's not like you run the ads last week and then all of a sudden you go from 3% to 6% or 9% in the polls. I think we just need to stick with it. I wish we had started earlier, but we didn't have the money earlier. So I think it is realistic, and hopefully it gets us over the top. In fact, let's just get a little inspiration. Let's just get a little inspiration with that ad, because I do like that ad. Hold on a second. Hold on. We'll take a little commercial break, literally. YouTube. Share screen. Share. It's called, what was it? New Beginning. Oh, no, I want to make sure I share it with audio. Hold on. Share audio. There we go. What? Beginning. Whoa. Dayquil is definitely kicking in. Can't spell anymore. Beginning. Isn't that the way you spell it? Dude. I'm good at charts. I'm not good at spelling. Oh, it's the new way forward. Clearly, the Dayquil has screwed me. All right, let's enjoy it.
The son of immigrants who came here seeking the American dream, Andrew Yang. His parents taught him about hope and hard work, a leader in education. Andrew Yang, the founder of Venture for America, a nonprofit that helped create thousands of jobs. President Obama named Andrew a champion of change, and his ideas are a blueprint for a new way forward. An economy where big tech and Wall Street are held accountable. A healthcare system with Medicare for all that takes on drug companies to lower prices. A fight against climate change that confronts big polluters.
We have to rewrite the rules of the 21st century so that they work for us.
Andrew Yang, parent, patriot, not a politician. A new leader who understands that what's coming is the greatest economic transformation in history and who can lead us in the fight for the future that we want. For President Andrew Yang, a new way forward.
I'm Andrew Yang, and I approve this message.
Woo! Love it. Love it. So if you want to see that ad showing up in more places, you know what I'm about to show you, the link. Okay, next question. Whoa. Hold on. Okay, next question. Did you see Eric's tweet speculation about potential Chinese influence in the Yang media blackout? No, but I find that hard to believe, because if you're mainland China and you want to suppress Yang because you're angry that his parents are from Taiwan or whatever, this is not the candidate. Like, the 3% candidate is not the one you'd suppress. I almost wish he were big enough that other countries wanted to suppress him. So I don't buy that. But, you know, I don't have any proof one way or another. My thoughts on supporters' fundraising abilities. I think our supporters and this gang is freaking amazing. As you guys all know, we as a community had the biggest dollar raise from second quarter to third quarter of any candidate in the whole field, except for Bernie Sanders. So if you look at the dollar increase from second quarter to third quarter for Harris or for Buttigieg, and you compare that to Yang, we were the second highest. We went from 2.8 million to 10 million, and nobody else had as big of a jump in fundraising. So I think the Yang Gang is one of the most powerful fundraising armies out there, and we are all fired up. We are enthusiastic about our candidate, which is not the same that you could say about, you know, other candidates. So I completely believe that we have the ability as a community to raise enough funds to win, especially when our community right now is on the smaller side, when we can get more awareness and we have equal enthusiasm from 10 times as many people, the amount of money we can raise is going to be unbelievable. And so don't just take my word for it. Let me show you a chart. Here, take a look at this chart. How much money did candidates raise in the third quarter versus the second quarter? So you had Sanders boosting, have big increase, but Yang was number 2. Warren had a nice sizable increase, less than Yang in terms of the dollar growth. Williamson had a nice increase. Booker had a nice increase. And then there were multiple candidates who raised less money in the last quarter than the previous quarter. Harris raised less money. Bennett less. Buttigieg way less. Biden hugely less. More than 5 million less raised in third quarter versus second quarter. And Yang more than 5 million in the other direction. So I would like to bet on the one that's growing and not the one that's shrinking. All right, next question. Shouldn't Yang's ad expenditures be represented in Google Trends? Yes and no, because it might be that those, if the ad buys are being strategic, they might be buying on TV and radio ads targeting like older people or people who aren't actually as tech savvy to offset kind of the advantage that complement the advantage that we already have on the internet. So it could be that it's not reflected there yet. The second thing is like, you got to run a lot of ads to move these numbers. Think about it this way. Like when you buy a product that you saw on TV, it's not like you see the ad for like, oh, the new Dyson vacuum cleaner. And then like that same day you go and order it on Amazon or go to the mall and pick one up. You probably need to see that ad a few times, sometimes over several weeks or longer, maybe months. So I'm not shocked that we're not seeing a huge jump in the Google Trends data because we just started the TV ad program in Iowa. But I also think like we need to keep doing it because that's the only way that we're going to get there by February. So we have November, December, January to run these ads, which would give us 3 months of repeat kind of exposure. And hopefully that'll be just enough to make some noise in February. Do you see Mayor P as a, yeah, I do. I mean, the freaking guy looks like he might win Iowa. If he wins Iowa, all of that excessive media coverage he's already getting will only grow, which means it'll drown out any coverage of Yang. Now, if Pete wins and Yang comes in something crazy like 4th or 3rd, then there's going to be a fun narrative about the unconventional candidates, the young unconventional candidates, like upending the race, which would be fantastic. But then again, with the mainstream media's history of like excluding Yang, I don't even know if they'll do that. Are the wealthier capping out and the poorer running out? I don't think so. I think from the numbers that I was looking for, at least for the Secure the Yang challenge, I think the average donation is around like 40, 50 bucks. So, you know, the cap is like over 2,000. I am getting close to my personal cap, but I haven't reached it yet. Although I did give 3 times more than last quarter because I'm trying to help Yang hit 30 million. And if everybody who gave last quarter just gives 3 times more this quarter, he will hit 30 million. If he hits 30 million, you will have a rain of ads and offices open up in January in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. And that's exactly what we need. He needs to interrupt more. Yeah. Either he needs to interrupt more or he needs to call out other candidates in his answers. And that's why I think he should say, okay, if you had to go against Buttigieg, I've thought about it a little more as we were doing this live stream. I would say, hey, don't you agree automation and technology is the largest threat to labor? And isn't UBI the best way to address it? If not, why not? If he engages anyone in a debate over automation or UBI, he will freaking mop them up because he's so used to all of the objections that he will just handle it no problem. It's almost like someone trying to debate Bernie on his healthcare stuff because he knows it really well. But I still agree Bernie's core problem of eliminating private insurance is going to be a complete non-starter in the general election and cause us to reelect President Donald J. Trump, which is, in my opinion, the worst case scenario for America. Okay, let's see. Andrew Yang needs to draw blood. Yeah, I'm for it, man. Fuck it. It could be the last debate. Don't you think Pete is surging because of the argument at the last debate, like Camilla did after he fought with Biden? Yeah, maybe. And maybe we need to start picking some fights because we have the data, we have the candidate, we have better policies. So I think it's time to do that. The other thing he could do, could he call out the Yang media blackout? Oh no, I don't think that's a good look for him. I think we need to do that. Otherwise, he'll look like he's just whining. But he could call bullshit on them for UBI, for automation, for eliminating private insurance. I think those are all strong suits where he could say, hey, I don't believe in eliminating private insurance on the first day or the first year. I think the public option should be the primary focus, and it should earn people's decision to support it and compete. And then on UBI, he should basically talk about automation and how this would be the most transformational thing for most Americans. Do you think the ad consultants will influence his debate style? Probably, and I think that's a good thing because I believe that if you look at his natural style, which is amazing for long form interviews, as you can see with Joe Rogan on all the interviews he's done, that doesn't translate well to this manufactured kind of, I was about to say fake, but yeah, fake debate that we have with the media companies. But you got to play the game that you're in, and that's how they play. So if Yang has to do some one-liners and zingers and call people out, I'm fine with it, man, because at the end of the day, what I want is Trump out of the freaking White House. I want Yang in. I want UBI for people who need it and are hurting. And I want VAT to collect wealth and participate in economic activity from the industries that are driving it the most so that we can avoid this massive income inequality that is tearing this country apart. Okay. You're from New Jersey and Tom Steyer's already, oh my God. What the hell? He's running ads in New Jersey. So sick. Should he do local news channels interviews? I think he should, but he needs to get invited on them. I doubt he's turning down local news interviews for cities of any meaningful size. And the fact that Steyer is running all these ads is like such BS. It's like, why are you wasting all your money on yourself when people aren't fired up about you, man? Imagine if Steyer instead put all that money behind Yang. Holy crap, dude. We'd crush. Yang's clearly better than Pete, but Pete's base does not seem to care. Man, that could be true. I think the appeal of Pete is sort of the vibe, the kind of he's very articulate, he's very eloquent, he's very smart, clearly. Does he have exciting plans? Like, that's an interesting question. If you ask yourself about Pete Buttigieg, what policy is he proposing that will actually change people's lives? What do you come up with? Not a lot. Maybe Medicare for all who want it. I mean, that's fine. That's a great policy. It's Yang's as well. I don't think it's as transformational as UBI. I don't know what else Buttigieg is supporting in terms of actually, like, on your first 100 days in office, Pete, what would you do? I don't know. I know what Yang would do. Anyway, Yang is constantly talking about nice things about Biden. Do you think he's doing that strategically? Maybe. I think both are true. I think he actually likes Biden, and I'm pretty sure Biden likes him, which I can't say the same for all the other candidates in terms of whether Biden likes them. Like, I don't know if Biden and Warren are good buddies. Probably not. So I think they actually get along well. They might make a good team. But personally, I have issues with Biden at the top of the ticket. I don't know that he has the A game to take on Trump. And we know that Trump, he may not be a great president. He may not be a great policy wonk. He may not be a great diplomat. He may not even be a great businessman. But he knows how to manipulate a presidential campaign, and he knows how to get assistance from foreign governments to do his opposition research, and he knows how to turn the screws and stoke up political, emotional issues, like the whole pardoning of the U.S. military and individuals who were convicted in court, in the military courts. I mean, that was clearly an effort to take away attention from the impeachment, an effort to kind of fire up the USA, we're never wrong, we can't do anything wrong crowd. And unfortunately, like, as much as you may disagree with the merits of that argument, it works. And people don't get as fired up about the USA is a great country. We have always been a great country. We are the greatest country, but we have a lot of things we can do better. And we need to do better, not only by our citizens, but by the rest of the world who look to us for leadership. That, you can't chant that shit. It's easier to chant like we're the best. And so that's what Trump does well. And, you know, don't underestimate that guy, man. I mean, his supporters are fired up, man. And if you give them Warren, oh my God. And I don't think Mayor Pete would actually do that well with Trump Obama voters or Obama Trump voters either. And I'm not sure that Mayor Pete will turn out the African American vote, which we need to win in the general as well. So I'm not really convinced Mayor Pete's a great candidate. Whereas Yang, UBI alone, in terms of helping women, African Americans, any marginalized groups, but then also normal working class white Americans, like, UBI benefits everybody. There's no like, well, only these people get it. Everybody gets it. It's the definition of a unifying policy. Everybody benefits. Okay. Next question. Andrew says, "Preach, Tom." I know, dude. This NyQuil. I'm going off on people. Okay. Why do you like Pete? Well, I do find that he's smart, and the same reason why, a lot of reason why I like Yang is I think he's just intellectually, he's got a lot of horsepower. Jamie thinks that Pete is slimy. Yeah, I don't feel like he's as authentic as Yang, that's for sure. He seems like he's very calculated, and you know, he's very ambitious, but you know what? Everybody who runs for president is going to be ambitious. But maybe, I honestly feel that the primary reason Yang is running, now everybody who runs for president has a little bit of narcissism, has a little bit of ego. You have to, right, to do that job. But I would say the primary motivator for Yang is he sees problems and he wants to solve them for his kids and for our country. Whereas Mayor Pete, I think, wants to achieve. You know, this is a Rhodes Scholar, McKinsey. You know, he's achievement oriented. I don't have anything problem with that. Like, it's great. I wanted to be a Rhodes Scholar too. Didn't have the goods. So, but yeah, you know, I like Pete. I think he's smart. Is he the most authentic? Maybe not, but I like him more than Warren. I think Warren would get completely eviscerated in the general election. Okay, next question. Oh, I think we got all the questions done. I don't see any more questions. Ooh, does Yang have a with various disabilities? I don't think he does necessarily. I would not be surprised if he comes out with a policy around people with different developmental kind of needs. I wouldn't be surprised if Evelyn starts talking about that. But, you know, with Yang's policies, I think he wants to do the research and have specifics. So he doesn't come out with like, you know, them every week. But I do think UBI would lift all boats. I really do. Cole says so many more questions. Well, maybe I'm missing them. If I miss your question, go ahead and re-enter it in the chat because I'm just scrolling through them. What can Canadians do to help the Yang Gang? Well, you can help us in social media by spreading this content, by liking, commenting. You can also, I think you can volunteer. I think you can text bank and phone bank. So those are a couple things you could try. Why don't people visit his website? It's free to visit. Yeah. Yang2020.com. Go for it. I agree. It's great. It's a great website. It has a lot of information. How many polls is he qualified for? I talked about that in the beginning, but the summary is he's qualified for 2. He needs 2 more. He needs 4% in national polls. He just had 1 at 4%. So he got his second one, but he needs 2 more after that. Did you notice the new website that hides the policy? Yeah, I think it's optimized for email addresses and getting people to watch the ad and raising money. Sadly, you know, that's just a problem. Like that's what people want, you know? Not everybody wants to dig into the policies. When will he release his Medicare for All bill? You know, I would not be surprised if he tries to do it at the debate. Maybe that will be a big announcement. Like, oh yeah, you know, here's my more detailed plan. Oh, that's a good idea from Tenzin for the Canadians or anyone to wear Yang merch. I'm a victim of not doing more of that. I need to wear more merch. So I'm going to try harder. Are we contacting companies that advertise on MSNBC? I think we should. I just started tagging a few, and I also tweeted out to the NBC Diversity and Inclusion Twitter account. They literally have a Twitter account that's all about how NBC supports diversity and inclusion. So if you want to influence MSNBC and you think what they're doing is unfair, we've clearly tried to tell them and they just ignore it. But if you tell their advertisers, they might be more likely to pay attention. And all it takes is one advertiser email to their NBC sales rep saying, hey, what's going on with this thing about, you know, the coverage being unfair? I don't want to be associated with that. And you might see some real changes very fast. So if you see MSNBC advertisers on TV, go ahead and tweet at them and ask them if they support the Yang media blackout. And hopefully they will say no and ask their ad rep why. Are people asking me about this? Do you think Yang needs a spokesperson? Maybe. I mean, the thing about Andrew is that he is such a unique and brilliant communicator that I feel like we should use him as much as we can. But I think folks like Jermaine Johnson in South Carolina, Steve Marchand in New Hampshire, I think these are great spokespeople, and we probably need more. But here's the thing, like the spokesperson only matters if they can get on camera. And if the principal can't even get on camera, then it might be hard. So, yeah, I think the root cause is they're not even giving Andrew any time. So it's hard to give our surrogates time. How are we close to 30? I think we're getting close. I don't have the exact count. I don't know if the Yang 2020 website includes a counter to 30. I think their counters are usually more micro goals. Let's see. Continue to Yang 2020. Yeah, he doesn't have a counter for the 30. But he just on his website, he's saying that he's running ads in New Hampshire now, so that's great. Next question. Will Yang be ready for women's issues? I hope he is. I think he is. If I were with him in debate practice, that would be definitely a question. And I think he needs to have a tight answer of connecting UBI to women's issues. Ideally, if we had some women endorsers, famous ones, that would be fantastic. But I think he'll be ready for that question. It's pretty expected. What do you think about Yang Gabbard? I think he and Gabbard get along. I like Gabbard personally. The question is, does the Yang Gabbard, the risk is, are there Obama Trump voters who would be uncomfortable without a white person on the ticket? Or put another way, would a white person on the Yang ticket help with Obama Trump voters or white working class voters? I don't know. I'd have to, I guess I would do some polling, to be honest. I know you're not supposed to make all political decisions with polling, but this is one of them. Like, the VP is primarily there to increase your chances for the general. They're not really there to be president in case something happens to you. I mean, that's of course the official job. So I would say we definitely want a female VP. Is that female Gabbard, or is it like who is it, Stacey Abramson or something like that? I don't know. But right now, I'm most worried about getting the nomination. We don't need to worry about the VP if we're at 3%. You know, we gotta get to the 5 to 10% range. You think we can win a lawsuit? No, I don't think so. I think you'd have to prove that they were purposely doing it, and at worst, they could say, "Well, we're just incompetent." I think the way we pressure MSNBC is to reach out to their advertisers, and if that doesn't do it, we could maybe consider boycotting one of their top advertisers, and creating problems for that advertiser, who then would pressure MSNBC. Should we call out for racism? Yeah, because like that might be one of the things that they're most worried about being accused of. And if you combine it, I would say I would call out their advertisers. Like, are you supporting the suppression of an Asian American presidential candidate? Why are you supporting that? Why are you funding the suppression of an Asian American candidate? Would it help if foreign Yang Gang reach out to us why they want Yang Gang to win? Maybe. I think the journalists would be less open to it. I think if you're an international Yang Gang supporter, what you could do is maybe you could start a petition for non-American citizens and say, hey, we think this guy would not only be good for America, but good for the rest of the world, and America standing in the rest of the world. Now, some people then will say, oh, maybe they'll turn that against Yang and say, look, he's a candidate of the foreigners. I don't know. But I think the best way is if you are overseas and unfortunately, if you're not a U.S. citizen and you support Yang, wear the merch, buy the merch, support Yang Gang influencers, spread the content, text bank, phone bank, email bank, create content. Creating content is nothing wrong with that if you're international. In fact, maybe someone should create a internationals for Yang YouTube channel or Twitter account. That'd be kind of cool. All right. Next question. I don't think he's dropped his taxes yet. I know that I saw something saying his net worth was a few million, but I don't think he's dropped his taxes, and he should, hopefully. I have no opinion on Pete's bust on his Douglas proposal endorsements. I don't even know much about that. I'm going to have to look into that. foreigners can buy merch, right? I think so, but I'm not sure. If you can't buy, if you can't buy official merch, you can buy some unofficial merch from other, or Yang Gang merch. Like I have some Nerds for Yang merch, but I don't know if wearing that, maybe it might help. Next question. Do we think he should do radio instead of TV? Well, I would hope that he has a team that's looking into the return on investment of both. And frankly, if you really want to get coverage, you kind of have to do a lot of everything. And so I would imagine radio's coming. Who are MSNBC's major advertisers? Well, I was just looking that up recently, and let me just share what I was able to find. So MSNBC's, or maybe even NBC's top advertisers. Here we go. Biggest advertisers for MSNBC. Smile Direct, Jeep, Office Depot, Cadillac, Trivago. So you got to ask yourself, who would be most concerned about being associated with suppressing the vote? Maybe Jeep, because they probably want to seem all-American. So you could tweet at Jeep and say, hey, for an all-American brand, how do you feel about your favorite cable network that you're sponsoring suppressing an Asian American candidate as son of immigrants? For Office Depot, probably a lot of small business owners. So you could say, hey, for a business that caters to small businesses, for a company that caters to small businesses, do you sell to Asian Americans? And if so, why are you supporting a network that suppresses them? For Cadillac, oh, you're the symbol for American success. Is that success open to all Americans? Why do you support MSNBC, which is suppressing them? Trivago, I think it's travel. You could say, oh, you say, hey, do you are supporting travel internationally? Why would you support a network that's against a son of immigrants? That kind of thing. That kind of stuff, I will tell you guys, I think will go way more than arguing with journalists about fairness and how they're not being inclusive, because they'll just be like, whatever. But if you affect their dollars, their money, they start paying attention. The other thing you can do is the opposite, which is the Yang Gang Media shout out. So whenever you see someone who is writing a story about Andrew Yang and including him, tweet at them saying, hey, thank you. Go give them the page view for the article, share it, help them, like positive reinforcement, so that when they write about Yang, they know like they get a lot of page views, they get a lot of views, they get a lot of likes, because these journalists, they're looking to hit numbers too. Anything new or creative through Yang Gang that we need to be aware of? Well, we're about $4,000 short for our Secure the Yang challenge when we can get to interview him again. So we're very excited about that. I also saw some people tweeting about Yang as the GOAT or something like that. So, but that's, and then I would just, who knows a lot about what all the new stuff is? It would be Paget. She seems to like always talk about the new initiatives. I'm a little bit more just into the charts and stuff. Hustle and Film. What I do for whenever we do the Secure the Yang group things, I actually send out a join link to all of the 12 people. It's just sometimes with everybody's schedule, me living in Switzerland right now, streaming from Japan. In a few weeks, I'll be in California. Like everybody's time is all crazy, but hopefully we can get Hustle and Film on. I think I'm going to do a interview with him on Nerds for Yang just as a collab in general. I think in December anyway. What do you think is the cause? I think the cause is implicit unconscious racism. I really do. And I also think that they if it's not racism, then they just don't do their homework and they don't take him seriously because they're like, oh, he's the guy that's giving away money. Ha ha ha. And they don't understand like the root cause of why he's proposing this and how this policy is actually really powerful and much more nuanced and much more efficient than alternatives. Like they don't do their work. These journalists are lazy. Okay. If Yang endorsed people, well, it might, but I don't know that his endorsement really carries that much weight, unfortunately. Wasn't there supposed to be endorsement? I hope so. That would be great. Do I think Yang has a chance to win? I do. I still believe it because I believe he's the best candidate with the best ideas and we have the best supporters. We just need to overcome this freaking media suppression because that is the number one way people get information is through the annoying TV news. And that TV news is keeping us out. So we have to break that cycle somehow with a money bomb in the order of 30 million. Yes, we will get Hustle and Film on the stream. I guarantee you, he and I have already been talking about it. So it's just, I try to do like one scheduled stream a week. And now with my travel schedule, I'm going to skip this week. So this was like spontaneous one and even. Have there been any historical primary winners of polling as low as Yang during this point in the campaigning? Yes, I think there have. I don't have that at my fingertips. Let me see if I can find it. Polls. But I would say this election is so crazy with so many candidates that it's hard to say whether any of the old rules apply. But as an example, let's show you some. I give you some hope. Hold on here. Share screen, Chrome tab, share. Okay, on November 15th, who was leading in the polls in 2008? Hillary Clinton. She did not get the nomination. So that's an example of the leader not getting. It's not exactly your question, which is, can someone at 3% get the nomination? Rudy Giuliani was the leader in the 2008 Republican primary. Obviously, he did not get the nomination either. So there is precedent of the leader now not getting the nomination. You know, when you think about Obama, he was at least like in the 10 to 20 range or more. So he wasn't like quite as long of a long shot. Trump was in the 10 plus range. So he was not as low as 3%. Now he had national name recognition. So would we need to make history? Yes, we would. If there's ever a time that we should make history, I think it's now. Let's see. Online Names does not think it's racism. He thinks or she thinks it's something else. That's fine. Everybody, it's hard to really get to the root cause of like when this journalist wrote the story and they wrote the story about barrier breaking candidates. They included Castro and Booker and Harris and Buttigieg, and they didn't include Yang. Why not? Is it because they didn't know about Yang? Probably not. They probably should know that he's in the race. Is it that they didn't think he was breaking barriers? Well, that's weird. They should have known that. So then why didn't they cover him? Either they thought, well, I don't think he's a credible candidate, and they want to write about people who aren't credible. And then if that's the case, like why don't you think this guy is credible? If Yang were black or Hispanic or white or a woman, I think he would get a lot more coverage. I really do. but I don't know for sure. I don't have any data. That's just a hypothesis. If we get 30 million, they still leave us off the grass. What do we do then? Oh my God. Then I think we go completely after their advertisers. I think we take the gloves off because that's the only way to really get their attention. Next. Royalty is not in favor of racism talk. All right. Well, I hear you, but I do think it's a factor. But we can disagree on that because no one really knows, right? I guess a question for you all is, if you don't think it was racism, why do you think they're not covering him? Because the numbers should indicate that it's not about money. He's got more than Castro and Booker. It's not about polling. He's ahead of Booker and Castro. Why do they keep talking about other people? Is it gender? Well, they're all men. Is it age? They're all in their 40s. Why? Okay. Is it policy? Maybe they don't get UBI. They don't take it seriously. That could be. I think those would be my two candidates. Either they don't take UBI seriously or he's Asian or some combination. Do you think it's racist or do you just want to use race to get ahead? No, I think it's racist. I think it's racist. I think there are a lot of times where, there's scientific research around implicit bias. And no one's saying, oh, I'm not going to cover this guy because he's Asian. That's not what they're going to say. That's not even how they're going to think. They're going to think, well, I need to write about the credible candidates like Castro, like Booker, like Klobuchar, like Gillibrand, like Beto. And what they're not including is Yang. And you just got to ask yourself, why aren't they including Yang? Maybe it's because of, I don't know. Maybe it's because UBI. They don't like his haircut. They don't like that he doesn't wear a tie. Okay. Why hasn't Musk helped Yang with donation? He might have. We don't know. Hopefully he has. I think we have gotten to all the questions. So with that, I think we're going to wrap up. If you have any last minute questions, now's the time to type it in. But it has been, almost 2 hours and 300 people are joining. So don't forget to like this stream because then it helps get the content shared out more. And thank you everybody for joining me. Here's a summary. We need to do better in the polls. Part of the reason we're not doing better in the polls is that we are getting freaking excluded from media coverage. The number one source for voters on how they get their information is TV news. Cable news is second to network news, but basically TV in general. In both those places, I showed you the data indicating that he's getting like 1/10 of the coverage of other candidates and a fraction of the coverage of candidates for whom he's polling ahead of. So the fact that he's polling ahead of Booker and he's polling ahead of Castro, even though they get free national media coverage left, right, and center, is just nuts, right? So imagine if he just got the same amount of coverage as Booker. Oh my God, we'd be at like 10% by now. At any rate, so that's a summary. And the way you can help us solve this problem is we need to do some carpet bombing of key states with paid media ads because we're not getting the free coverage. So donate at tinyurl.com/NFY50. That goes straight to the campaign, and that will allow me to do another Yang interview. And one other thing I thought I'd mention to you guys is if you have any people, friends, family who speak Spanish, we have one of the interviews of Andrew, I'll show you, in Spanish that you can share out. So if you go to my channel, and you go to videos, Even playlist. I think I even made a playlist. Where is it? Huh? I thought I had it here. Weird. Okay, let me go to videos. Just bear with me. It's cool. I promise. Here it is.
Episodio muy especial. Como muchos saben, iniciamos el reto Nerds con Yang. Y su campaña nos dijo, oigan, pequeño canal de YouTube, si pueden recaudar $10,000, quizá podamos hacer que Andrew
And then,
aparezca en el
obviously,
show.
when we can go to
Rusia
Andrew.
En el G8.
En la medida en que sea otra situación del garrote y la zanahoria que podamos usar para mejorar el trato de la...
So, if you guys are interested, please go ahead and share out. I'll put a link to that one. Share out with all of your Spanish-speaking friends this link. Oh, that's a long-ass URL. You're never going to remember that. Sorry. Let me just take that off. I think if you search for it on YouTube, let's see. Let's try if we can find it. We'll do it together. Share screen. Okay. Let's see if we can find it together. So if I go here, if I go on YouTube, I say Andrew Yang Espanol. Am I a result? Oh, come on, search. You got to be kidding me. You know what I'll do? I'll make a tiny URL. I'll do it right here. Tiny URL. Long URL. And then we'll say Yang dash Espanol. Okay. So if you go now to, you can give all your Spanish speaking friends this link, tinyurl.com/yang-espanol. It will take them to my interview of Andrew. I'm just going to check it, make sure it worked. Okay, it works. It'll take them to the Spanish dubbed version of the Andrew Yang interview. Okay. Oh, I'm supposed to search Española. Got it. Well, now you have a short link as well. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for joining. Please donate when you can to the Nerds Secure the Yang Challenge. Thank you to everybody who's already donated. Thank you for supporting Andrew Yang. Let's have a big night this week, guys. Big night, big debate. Turn up the ads, and let's get a surprise in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina. We don't need to win Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina. We just need to beat expectations. In my opinion, that's 5th place in Iowa, 4th place in New Hampshire, 3rd place in South Carolina, and then 2nd or 1st place on Super Tuesday. That is a path to victory. We will see you next time. Goodbye, nerds. Goodbye, nerds.